Well, the Oregon Ducks have already punched their ticket for Indianapolis. Who will they play? Well, IU takes on Ohio State. That'll give us a good idea. Plus, Penn State still has a slight chance. Playoff bids are up for grabs, and the rest of the Big Ten slate. Let's talk. It's time for the Locked On Big Ten Squad.
You're talking ball with the Big Ten Squad. From USC to Ohio State, from Michigan to Oregon, from Nebraska to Washington, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming Big Ten weekend. No hurt feelings and thin skin allowed. Squad up, you're part of the Big Ten Squad.
Welcome to the Locked On Big Ten Squad. I'm Craig Shemon. Sit back and enjoy as we shoot the breeze and talk some Big Ten football. By the way, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started.
America's number one sportsbook.
Thank you. That was Spencer, by the way. Locked On Ducks, Locked On College Football. Roman from Locked On Huskies. We've got Jay Stevens from Locked On Buckeyes and Jacob from Locked On Hoosiers. Fellas, welcome.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. That's right, Craig. I'm back. I'm back.
I'm back, and we're all worse off because of it.
Yes.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm taking this over for just a second because Craig, you've been disrespecting Washington for multiple weeks now. The bowl eligible Washington Huskies. We got to make sure that gets in there right off the top.
If you can find a way to get a home game for your bowl game, you're covered. You guys are awesome.
I love that.
All right.
You should just make your own bowl game. Just create it. Play it at Lumen Field and call it the Lumen Bowl or something.
Don't want to go back there. We already tried that.
Why? What happened at Lumen Field that you didn't care for?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. All right. I won't.
Spencer, you're actually on a bye week this week with the Ducks.
Yeah.
Tough victory against Wisconsin, 16-13, and now you await to see who you play in the Big Ten championship game, so congratulations for clinching that. Your thoughts on that Wisconsin game? It was a nail-biter. You were behind in the fourth quarter. I don't know if it's because Tez Johnson wasn't there or what, but what was your assessment?
You call that a trap game, Big Ten? Weak tea, friends. Weak tea. No, not actually. I thought Oregon was going to lose the football game well into the third quarter. Because they just didn't really show up. Like it was never going to be super easy. Wisconsin is solid. They're not great, but they're solid. It's on the road. Oregon was playing their 8th straight game. Wisconsin was at home off a bye. You're crossing a couple time zones there. Like it had all the makings of a trap game when you look at this matchup before the season, and it played out that way on Saturday night. It didn't need to be that hard. Like I have questions about Oregon going into the bye week. Tez Johnson is back. He's expected to play against Washington next week. That news came earlier this week, and that's a big revelation for the offense, especially the passing attack, which has struggled in the 2 full games without him. They were great against Michigan without him, though, so I think there are other things going on there. But Oregon's offensive line right now is fine. That's how I'd assess it. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's fine, and I wonder if they can get back to being great.
All right, and of course, you'll take on the person to your left, screen right. Roman, you both have a week off to get ready for this game. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Dan Lanning in Oregon has ever beaten Washington. Is that true?
He is 0-3. Thanks for the reminder. Appreciate that.
Roman, pick it up from there.
That's all I'm going to say on that matter because I am the world's largest jinx, so I'm going to leave that one right where it is. But yeah, for anybody who is not yet indoctrinated into what the Oregon-Washington matchup is, just open that Twitter app for the next couple of weeks, and you're going to see the most nonsensical hatred going back and forth from both sides. I will post things about Washington that have nothing to do with the game, and my comments are just flooded with, oh, Oregon this, Oregon that, because they need to find them to just insert themselves into any and every conversation. But no, Washington's riding high, coming off a victory over the mighty UCLA Bruins. That's something that Jacob was on this show just praising earlier this season. So, I'm just going to take that and keep on rolling with it. And
we praise every win over here. I don't know what you're talking about. We praise every win.
Yeah, because there were so few and far between before this season.
You're right.
I'm just really excited. We finally got a glimpse into the future at Damon Williams, who took over midway through the third quarter. Big Ten Freshman of the Week. Respect him. Love to see that. And Jed Fish is not named a starting quarterback going into the Oregon game. So that's something that we're going to be spending a lot of time on over the next couple of weeks. I wouldn't be surprised either way at this point. Damon's playmaking ability is just so electric, so much fun to watch. But at the same point, a fifth-year senior Will Rogers in that game also wouldn't necessarily be surprising. So I'm really curious to see what happens there.
Yeah, you and I, we talked about that last week a little bit, last week's squad. All right, down below, we got Jay Stevens from Locked On Buckeyes, Locked On Hoosiers, Jacob. Guys, it's the big one. I think for Indiana, they've had this one circled the entire season. Ohio State was like, we'll get to it when we get to it. It's here, and a spot in the Big Ten championship game likely off of this winner. Jay, I'll start with you. Wasn't exactly a bye, but you've had two good, easy, manageable games with Northwestern and Purdue getting ready for now Indiana and then Michigan.
Yeah, those two games back-to-back were a couple of things that Ohio State needed to kind of have, because not only are they able to kind of sleepwalk through wins, but also getting some guys some rest. I think Tyleik Williams missed, I think, the Purdue game. Could have played, but it's like, hey, let's get him healthy. Let's rest him during the regular season if we can. And Ryan Day's done that during the season for a couple of guys that have been injured. But yeah, I mean, Wrigley Field was cool seeing that game there, but the Buckeyes literally scored 31 unanswered points in a very easy fashion. A couple of guys scored a couple of touchdowns apiece. But it was kind of weird to have that game. I thought, literally, Jacob, I thought it was going to be 3 easy games. Purdue, Northwestern, Indiana.
Yeah.
First time in my life, and everyone's lives, I think that IU is a team that Ohio State legitimately has to respect, not just because of the ranking, but because they have dudes out there on the football field.
And look, it would be a lie for me to sit here and say, oh, yeah, we've had Ohio State circled since the beginning. Absolutely not. We were like, look, the schedule's very manageable other than having to go to Columbus and Ohio State. I mean, that was a game where in the preseason, you don't normally say, oh, yeah, what a great opportunity that is for Indiana. But here we are, right? And a top 5 matchup that everybody had predicted at the start of the season. And as Craig said, most likely winner goes to the Big Ten championship game, as long as we don't screw up against a mediocre Michigan team that Indiana struggled with because they're good defensively and possibly the worst team in college football in Purdue. So looking forward to a top 5 matchup in Columbus.
Florida State would like a word.
I would hate to see those two teams play. It would be horrific.
I wouldn't want, you couldn't pay me to what, you could fly me out first class to wherever that game is, put me up at a 5-star hotel, give me a free round of golf at a really nice spot with fancy dinners and meals all the way across the board. I still wouldn't watch Purdue play Florida State.
Nope.
Would not do it. By the way, speaking of the Big Ten championship game where Oregon's going to be, can we talk about the hilariousness of 3 days time passing between Oregon beating Wisconsin and the official announcement that Oregon would make the Big Ten championship game? That's one of the funniest things from a conference level I have ever seen. They just randomly...
Well,
I don't know. I was told this league is the greatest thing since sliced bread. and yet here we are. It takes 72 hours to figure out, hey, I think they're going to be the championship game, guys.
I think we had to double and triple check the 9 tiebreaker scenarios that we just to make sure.
How long does that take? It was just so random. Like Tuesdays rolled along, and all of a sudden I see a graphic. Oregon clinched. I'm like, they played 3 days ago. What is happening here?
Well,
we talked about that on our show.
If you would have seen Monday's Locked On Big Ten, that was the headline. We got it covered.
Okay,
we talked about that on Locked On Huskies too, and we had somebody reply in the middle of the afternoon, be like, because it would have been hilarious if the way that it all played out, if Washington beats Oregon, to somehow see like Ohio State, Penn State get into that game, would have just been absolutely hilarious. Just a chef's kiss on this Husky season. But we had somebody reply in the middle of the afternoon, be like, Oregon's already in. It's like, yeah, we recorded this on Monday night. Like, it was not announced yet. It just didn't make any sense.
Like, how are you not ready for that going into? How was Locked On Big Ten ahead of the Big Ten Conference? Tony Petiti, what are you doing, man?
Because Craig does a wonderful job on Locked On Big Ten. That's why, Spencer.
About how weird the Big Ten is, because you called me and we talked about some of the weird stuff the Big Ten does compared to the SEC, and it's just the conference is weird, man. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, weird, doesn't make sense. Are we talking about Indiana or the Big Ten?
Both.
Both.
Just making sure we're on the same page.
All right. When we come back, I believe we're going to be joined by Zach from Locked On Nittany Lines. They got like this much chance of making it in. And Jacob, I want you to explain to me how a guy coaches 10 games and gets an 8-year contract extension. We'll get into all that. Some big news out of Bloomington as well as we continue with the squad here on Locked On Big Ten. Let me tell you about Skylight Frames. This is a cool gift idea. You need ideas for the holidays. If you're missing someone over the holiday season, you can't be part of their festivities because you live far away. Maybe you get a big family and it's hard to find the right gift for somebody. Well, check this out. We got the perfect gift for you. It's Skylight Frame. It's a touchscreen digital photo frame that your family will love. You can upload thousands of photos from your phone and watch them appear in seconds. The setup takes less than 60 seconds. You can invite friends and family to share photos via the free Skylight mobile app. You can all contribute to this thing. No account or subscription is required. It only takes a tap of your phone to make it work. And now, as a special limited time offer for our listeners, get $20 off your purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/college. That's Skylight Frame. SkylightFrame.com/college. Get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.com/college. And FanDuel, they make the games more exciting no matter what. Games are exciting already, but you add FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and it gets even more exciting. Check out NFL action, for example. Right now, new customers get $5 who bet $5 and win, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets in the NFL all in one place. So if you get a hunch in the middle of the game, want to look up some stats, check out some scores, all on the same page that you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com and join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, let's continue with the Locked On Big Ten squad. And we got Zach Seiko joining us from Locked On Nittany Lions as well. We'll get to that. But going into the break, I talked about how Jacob, the Hoosiers, Curt Cignetti is 10-0. Now he's got a new 8-year contract extension, $9 million a year if you add his retention bonus of $1 million. And I'm thinking they didn't just whip this up this week. The announcement was made this week. So this tells me maybe a week or two ago, you got to go to the president, the board, lawyers, back and forth. What did they decide after like 6 games that we're just going to double the guy's salary?
3. Yeah, we went to UCLA and they said, good enough for us. We need him to hang around. And so, yeah, I mean, it's been in the works for quite some time. And it's funny because when Cignetti got here, right, he talked about how he wanted this to be his final stop. He's an older gentleman in terms of a head coach in college football with all the changes that we see. And so it's not like somebody like him to say, all right, let's take another jump or whatever. And I've made it very clear on Locked On Hoosiers, there are programs that could pay more, offer more, have better facilities. Like we're not hiding gold in Bloomington. Like it's no secret there. But what Indiana was able to offer him was a competitive pay raise, a competitive salary, and offer him the upgrades that he asked for when he got here. And with that, you allowed him to hang around and hopefully continue to build on something that he's already literally built from the ground up in just 10 games. And so, yeah, it all came together. You had the bye week before Ohio State to get it out of the way. He talked about how it's a relief. You can focus on the Buckeyes. And I think this was, yes, an extension and a move to keep him in Bloomington because of how good of a coach he is. But this was also we don't want to see him go anywhere else and win anywhere else. So let's just pay him to keep him right here.
Hey, Roman, is Washington still working on that contract extension for Kalen DeBoer?
Yeah, I hear it's getting finalized any day now.
I'd heard the same. I just wanted to confirm from the Huskies guy.
Ouch.
Can't wait for Dan Lanning to be next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm terrified.
Zach, before we got here, we were talking about how Indiana and Ohio State are playing most likely for the second spot in the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, we are.
Penn State's got just a skosh of a chance. Let's see if Indiana loses Ohio State, but Ohio State loses to Michigan. Then I think Penn State wins the 4th tiebreaker.
All right, Craig, let's deal with realistic hypotheticals. How is Ohio State going to lose to Michigan?
Yeah,
that's the correct answer. There is no answer to that question.
The panel is stunned.
But anyway, Zach, I wanted to welcome you, boy. You guys
The
are still
silence
alive.
is deafening.
Hey, Zach.
Hey, everyone. There's also another scenario. Washington beating Oregon. That's the other scenario.
And Oregon's still in the Big Ten title game.
No, Ohio. So no, it'd be Ohio State and Penn State. Ohio State has to be.
Zach is late to the party. Late to the party.
I read it. I read the report.
Is there a reason that the Big Ten on Fox tweeted out that Oregon clinched a spot in the Big Ten title game?
I guess I'm dead wrong, huh?
Yeah, yeah, that was the point we were getting to.
But
He missed that whole part of the conversation.
There was some question. The Big Ten didn't announce it till like what, Tuesday? It's something like that. So there was some gray area.
Well, you know, Oregon played on Saturday, so what's the rush?
Yeah, I mean, we'll just let it play out. Then we'll decide who we want to put in the Big Ten championship game. It's fine.
You know what was actually happening was they realized that Oregon in their first year in the conference was going to make the conference championship game, and they were just desperately looking for a way to either kick them out or leave them out of the Big Ten championship game. They were searching through every little nook and cranny thinking, this can't be right. We have to figure out a way to undo this, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah, but didn't we all say in our podcasts in June, in July, and August that was probably most likely going to be Oregon and Ohio State, maybe even 3 times, regular season, Big Ten championship, and the playoffs,
I
right?
mean, I had Indiana in my Big Ten title game.
Yeah,
I don't know
did.
about you guys.
Yeah,
They were my Oregon, Ohio State. I had toss up with a regular season game, but Indiana, Sharpie, baby.
Hey, I want a question for all of you guys here, because of all the Big Ten players, Dylan Gabriel has the best chance to win the Heisman. I don't know if he does or not. But since Zach's here, Tyler Warren gets 0 runs, and this guy does everything. Catches, throws,
everything,
and he's not getting any run. And I think he should. What do you think?
I mean, he's definitely in the Heisman conversation. Look, it's going to be impossible for him to win. As much as I want to say, yeah, hurrah, it's Tyler Warren. It's Tyler Warren's award to lose. But honestly, it's down to 2 people for me personally. Ashton Genty of Boise State and not Travis Hunter. No, Bryson Daly over at Army. Army, the quarterback, who's doing it both on the ground and through the air. And if Army can... Look, I'm not saying they upset Notre Dame, but at least it potentially boosts the Heisman campaign. So Tyler Warren would probably be 4th or 5th in a realistic list, but that's saying something for a tight end, period. Doesn't matter what school they're at.
If the network knows what they're doing here, and Locked On tends to know what they're doing, they will clip that segment of not Travis Hunter as a top 2 in the Heisman and put it everywhere, and then you can understand what it's like to talk to Colorado fans.
Craig, you're an Indiana guy. How are you not showing love to our guy, Curtis Rourke? What are we doing?
Oh,
who?
He's going to explode when he wins on Saturday onto the scene. But I do have a memo for all the Locked On Big 12 people and Colorado people. Travis Hunter, do we have to do the Desmond Howard Heisman pose every time we touch the ball? We get it. You're a candidate, dude.
Yes,
back off.
he will. He will.
Craig, have you ever seen a Colorado fan on the internet? That's like their entire personality.
100%. That is the perfect way to sum it up.
Get him, Roman. Get him.
5 yards. First down.
Hey, Roman, I want to ask you, you got rivalry week this week, basically. And I lived in LA for 10 years, so it's always like Southern Cal and UCLA. They always play
Is there a long-running history between Washington and the bye week that I'm not familiar with?
What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question.
I was like, Washington and bye week? What happens during the bye week in Seattle?
You know, like if you want to talk USC, UCLA, that's fine with me. Like I was born and raised in LA. Like I'm more than willing to go down that road.
Well, since I brought it up mistakenly, let's do it. Let's close that loop. Yeah. I don't know why. I guess USC's got to play Notre Dame or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's playing somewhere. I mean, any other game that's not in Columbus this weekend, do we really have to talk about it? Like, let's be real here.
I mean, the optics of Lincoln Riley losing to UCLA again
is pretty funny.
It'd be pretty bad.
Hilarious.
It'd be pretty bad. With that said, Washington reminded us what we all knew down to our core, which is UCLA is not very good. Yeah. But somehow they were winning games, and Washington was like, "Nah, this team isn't really that good." It was a competitive game. I imagine it'll be the same this week against USC because the Trojans are just the kings of underperforming in the Big Ten Conference. But the reason you should watch, Jacob, and Indiana can take some notes here, it's the best uniform game of the year, USC-UCLA. It's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I think Indiana's got a couple decent jerseys, but a little tweaking, a little modernizing, I think could go a long way for the Hoosiers brand.
That's fair. That's fair. Jay, do we know what Ohio State's rolling out with? Have they announced what they're going to be wearing on Saturday?
Something bland.
Probably the normal jerseys. I don't see them pulling out anything special for Indiana, not this weekend. I don't see that happening. No.
All right.
Like I said, something bland.
Something bland.
I'm ready for a revamp of their jerseys. They've been wearing the same thing for like 20,000 years. It's time to come with the times.
Is that just you, or is that the consensus? Are there more than one, or are you the only one who says that in Ohio State?
There aren't many. A lot of people like the tradition. When I talk about the love of the alternate jerseys and how Ohio State needs to wear black more often, and they're like, no, let's keep with what we got. Someone in a comment one day was like, Alabama doesn't change. I don't care about Alabama. I don't care about them at all. This is Ohio State. You can change. You don't have to follow what they do.
Ohio State, Washington don't wear black enough. Their black unis are gas.
I agree.
The black helmets Washington had last week were all gas, no brakes, run through the barrier on the highway. They were so good.
They were.
Spencer, those were one of the best Washington helmets I've ever seen. We're like
100%.
I get all the people who, because like Jay, it's the same thing with Ohio State, right? As with most schools. Spencer, we're not talking about Oregon for the next minute or two because of all their uniform stuff. But I don't understand the group of fans that are like, hey, black isn't one of the school colors. Why are you wearing it? It's like, it doesn't matter. It's fun.
No,
white isn't technically a school color. Why do you wear it? Because it looks great.
Right, it's fun. It's about trying to find something new for these 18 to 22-year-old kids that like to do something and wear the same two jerseys every other week. Like, let's switch it up. Let's get the alternate helmets, alternate jerseys, all that stuff. Absolutely fantastic.
All right, by show of hands, who thinks Indiana will beat Ohio State this weekend? Okay.
Look at that. 2 hands down in the corner from Jacob. Sorry, Jacob. Was that a vote in the affirmative, or was that you surrendering?
That was a vote and then a double down on the vote because I figured nobody else would go with me. So that's okay. That's fine. Look, we're going to be underdogs, big underdogs, and nobody's going to pick us. And that's totally, totally fine. Jay said Ohio State's respecting Indiana. We'll find out, I would say, in the first quarter whether they do or not.
Show of hands, who thinks Indiana covers?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I think the number's crazy.
But he's going to be a blowout.
I haven't checked it lately. I know it was 10.5 at one point.
It was 12.5.
Yeah, that's too high.
All right, we'll be back for a final word, getting ready for this next to last weekend of the regular season as the Locked On Big Ten squad continues. Let me tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks are fun. It's the best place to get real money sports action. Over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players, group them together, and you get a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long with Prize Picks. So again, you can win up to 100 times your money with Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still get cash out of your lineup even if it isn't perfect. It is a lot of fun. You can sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Think of, like, for example, I don't know, Justin Jefferson will get more than 83.5 yards next week, and Lamar Jackson will pass more than 1.5 touchdowns. Put them together, let it roll, and watch your winnings come in. Download the app today and use the code LOCKDOWNCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, Prize Picks, run your game. All right, here we go. Final word for the weekend. We got Spencer, Locked On Ducks.
I think they can see that it's me.
Yeah. And
it's
right there.
It's real intimate now.
Yeah. We're getting up close and personal.
Zach from Locked On Nittany Lions. All right, let's get a final word on a couple of things. All right, so both of you think Ohio State win this weekend. Let's talk about Penn State because they got to win with all those scenarios.
It's a good thing I'm here, huh?
What's that?
It's a good thing I'm here then, huh?
Absolutely. Minnesota, you got them this weekend. The one challenge, they got like 16 interceptions. Their secondary is really good. Good thing Drew Aller doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. What are your thoughts on this game?
Exactly that, Craig. I'm going to have a preview episode will be up, and it'll explain that I think Penn State wins convincingly. Again, I look at Minnesota and I compare them to a Washington, a Wisconsin, a team that has Minnesota's the best of the bunch. Honestly, Washington's defense is pretty good. Minnesota just forces a lot of turnovers, but they're so dependent on the turnover to do anything. They just lost to a banged-up Rutgers team. They have the bye week. Okay, they can get adjusted and everything. But this is a team that is barely top 100 offensively. They're just as bad as Purdue. So if Penn State doesn't turn the football over, which you pointed out they don't very often, if Drew Aller throws one interception, I think Minnesota would need 4 or 5 turnovers to pull off an upset in this game. I think Penn State wins along the lines of 30-6. I think Minnesota will probably hold Penn State to quite a few field goals, not let them sustain as many drives, but Penn State's got a top 10 defense. Minnesota's got a top 25 defense. Penn State's got a top 15 offense. Minnesota has a top 100 offense.
Let me defend the Golden Gophers here real quick. The second half of the season, they're a much different football team. I think they have found their stride in the second half. I don't think they win this game. Penn State against anyone not named Ohio State or Michigan in the last few years.
It's a science. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is quite literally a science. It is not art. It's just the way that things roll. But Max Brosmer has played better football over the second half of the year. I think the passing game has been much more in sync. They found something with Darius Taylor running the football. They're not a great team, but I don't think this is one that Penn State can overlook to the likes of Purdue. I don't think they're in that discussion. I think they're much closer to Wisconsin, which was a close game in the fourth quarter, or Washington, which wasn't close, but that was at home. This is on the road. I think it's the most losable game that Penn State has on their schedule. They win this game, you can Sharpie them into the college football playoff.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hey, I wanted to ask you, Spencer, what did you think? So Phil Longo, the offensive coordinator at Wisconsin, got fired before you guys even left the field after that 16-13 win up at Wisconsin this weekend. You know, he came in with Luke Fickell for this air raid attack, but they were built for a running game. They haven't got quarterback right yet. But anyway, I wanted your thoughts on that move.
Yeah, I was surprised. You know, yeah, you only put up 13 points at home against who? Oh, the number one team in college football that is a defensively oriented team who didn't have Jordan Birch. Sure, but they have another first-round pick on the defensive line in Mateo Uiagalelei. They might have another one in Derek Harmon, who's going to be third round at latest, probably get taken in the second. Like, it's still a stacked Oregon defense. The wind was a factor on Saturday night. I think that caused both quarterbacks to miss a couple of throws they might otherwise hit. I don't know what the problem with the offensive coordinator was. He'd schemed several guys open, and then you look up and Braden Locke missed the throws. Like, he's just not a very good quarterback. He's a backup.
And again, I watched Penn State play Wisconsin. Wisconsin's receivers would drop passes left and right. So Braden Locke would miss them, and that too.
And in their 3-game winning streak, when they played lower tier teams in the Big Ten, their offense was great. They put up a bunch of yards, but you're playing with a backup quarterback. I struggle firing an offensive coordinator. Luke Fickell obviously doesn't when you don't have your starter in play. That's asking a lot. It's asking a lot in the NFL. It's asking even more in college football because the quality that you can get from a backup quarterback in the NFL can be pretty good.
Yeah.
In college football, how many teams have a backup they feel good about? Texas with Arch Manning. Is that the list? That might be
Penn
the
State
entire
with
list.
Bo Pribula led Penn State to a win against Wisconsin.
Bo Pribula at Penn State. DeMond Williams at Washington belongs in this conversation because he kind of pushed Will Rogers out, but that didn't come until the second half of the season, and you haven't seen him start for a long period of time. There are just not a lot of teams that can survive that drop-off. So I thought he got the short end of the stick, and that he's the boogeyman for a season in Wisconsin that isn't bad. It's not great, but it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't understand why they made that move unless Fickell's got somebody really good in mind.
Meanwhile, final word, Penn State, got to love the coordinator moves they made. They get 2 new coordinators this year. Andy Kolonicki on offense. That seems to be working. Tom Allen seems to be working with the defense. Everybody should be happy there, right?
Well, and I was going to bring it up, but it didn't fit in the conversation at the moment. But Tom Allen, walked so Kurt Cignetti could run, because it seems like Indiana reinvented itself and got with the times, because Tom Allen didn't get the same thing. He was losing guys in the transfer portal. He's always a good coach, but Indiana realized, oh shoot, we got to actually take the transfer portal and NIL seriously, or we're going to get left behind with Northwestern and Purdue and other schools Cal, right, that just don't take athletics as seriously. Besides the point. Indiana,
Florida State, all sorts of programs that are unserious about athletics.
Exactly. Indiana wins, and so does Penn State at the end of the day. We'll see what Tom Allen ultimately does if he wants to get back into being a head coach and everything else. But from what I gathered at the beginning of the preseason, he likes just being a defensive coordinator, because he got away from coaching football 90% of the time. It was politics, it was fundraising, it was re-recruiting your own players.
Chip Kelly. Yeah.
So Tom Allen was just like, I'm just grateful to be coaching football again, and he just seems so happy. Andy Kotelnicki, same thing. These are two high energy guys, high positive energy guys that I think Andy Kotelnicki eventually does want to be a head coach, which is fine. Then that could happen sooner rather than later. We'll see. But he's not going to just jump at the first opportunity. So Penn State might have these two together for the next 2, 3, 4 seasons. Maybe Kotelnicki's not there that long, but they're in a really good spot. And James Franklin made the right hire now that he has an athletic director that's backing him, that is helping him, because they outbid everybody for Kotelnicki and Tom Allen. That wouldn't have been the case 2-3 years ago.
Well, good luck to Penn State, and Spencer, enjoy your bye weekend. Everybody follow these guys. They do a great job each and every day. Locked On College Football, Locked On Ducks, Locked On Nittany Lions. Follow and subscribe your favorite Big Ten team. We'll be covering your favorite team every day throughout the season. And don't forget, I got you covered with the entire conference every day with Locked On Big Ten, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Craig Shemon. We'll talk to you next time.